We gave up our double car garage
for a bedroom.
which sounds insane, but somehow it's the nicest room in the house. But it wasn't easy. Because converting a garage sounds simple until you realize
It was never actually meant to be lived in.
we were up against cold floors, hardly any insulation, weird concrete footings. But after a few stressful moments, I started to realize this could actually turn into something. There's a few things that you can keep in mind. You'll be able to make it successful and turn your garage into something really cool too. And in this video, I'm going to explain every step of how we got it from this to this. But the biggest problem was the floor, and not the million dominoes that we're stubbing our toes on from our toddlers. How to keep the floor warm, how to keep the entire space warm, to be honest. The first thing that we did was removed the garage doors and installed windows. But I didn't actually do that part because I was home recovering from having our daughter. So we got our neighbors to install those for us, and then I had to tackle the floor, which was honestly what I was most scared of. Making a garage look nice, that's the easy part. But making it so that it's warm and dry and not causing you any water issues or mold in the future, that's where a lot of people mess up. The first thing that you need to figure out for your garage is whether it has poly underneath it or not. Now, obviously, you can't lift up your foundation to take a look. Basically, what that means is before they poured the concrete, they're supposed to put down a thick poly underneath it, so none of the groundwater can get absorbed by the concrete and then in turn come into your space. But here's how to figure out if you have that or not. So I took clear plastic garbage bags and I cut them in about 12-inch by 12-inch pieces, and then I used painter's tape to tape them in several different spots in the garage. Make sure that you do this on a warm day that doesn't have any moisture in the air. Leave it for 48 hours while your heat is on. Your heat will cause condensation inside of the plastic if your concrete is absorbing water from underneath. If you can pull the plastic off 48 hours later and you don't have any condensation, you're in the clear. If you do have condensation, don't let it scare you. All this means is that you're going to have to put a waterproofing underneath your floor. It's just an added step, but I promise you it's something you want to find out before you finish your space. Once we figured out that the slab was not holding moisture, I could finally start building the floor. Now there's a few different ways that you can insulate a concrete floor, but I went pretty old school with this. I used 2x4s laid flat directly on the concrete with a moisture barrier underneath them. And the reason why I still added that barrier is even after the water test came back 100%, it's because you never want wood and concrete touching each other directly. We weren't expecting any actual water problems, but this avoids any chance of condensation building up over time. You just want to take all precautions when it comes to mold. And when you're converting a garage into a living space, those little details matter. So I laid the 2x4s on their side and spaced them 24 inches apart so that the foam insulation would fit perfectly between them. To secure everything down, I used my DeWalt hammer drill and Tapcons right into the concrete. And because this was originally a garage, the floor definitely wasn't perfectly level. So in some of the lower spots, I shimmed underneath the 2x4s to flatten everything out. This step makes a way bigger difference than everyone thinks. Because once the floor framing was done, it's finally started to feel less like a garage and more like an actual room. Now that the floor is insulated and dry, it's time to put the plywood down. Because you can't lay floor on foam.
Check out that light. We don't have any lights in here. We actually just got the electrician, put a center one in, take out all of the garage fluorescent lights, but that garden patio light just works for now, you know?
Before I put the plywood down, I did one extra step that honestly made this floor feel way more solid and insulated. I went around with spray foam and I filled every little gap that I could find. My foam cuts were done by hand, and let's just say they definitely weren't perfect. Now I can finally lay the plywood. And I made sure that every seam landed directly in the center of a 2x4. Because if your plywood ends aren't supported properly, your floor is going to flex and bounce, and we don't want that. So once the sheets were lined up, I screwed everything down, every 6 to 8 inches, because I want this floor to be rock solid. It's finally no longer a garage. No cold concrete, no more echo, and for the first time, it's starting to feel like part of the house. After the floor was finally done, I moved on to framing out the supposed to be one-day bathroom. And by one day, I mean absolutely not anytime soon. So for now, it's basically just fancy storage with big dreams. My current plan build a really pretty door, and pretend the unfinished bathroom behind it does not exist. Once the framing was done, I could finally start making the space feel intentional. So I decided to do shiplap behind the bed as a feature wall and drywall everywhere else to keep it clean. That was the first time I've actually been able to hear in probably 3 weeks. We've been passing it back and forth. It's felt like I've been underwater. It popped. Then came all of the little details like trim, caulking, painting, the part of every renovation that somehow takes longer than the actual build. And instead of painting everything bright, I went dark because the room is huge and I wanted it to feel dramatic. Warm, moody, like a boutique hotel instead of a converted garage. But then I got to design my favorite part of this entire room, the ceiling. I used 1x8 clear pine to build 4 faux beams and designed them to look like old hand-hewn logs. The key was cutting every corner on a 45 degrees so that there's no visible seams. And then I went back with a knife, absolutely destroying that same joint that I just put together so that it looked cracked and aged and imperfect instead of freshly built. I also used a wire brush attachment across the grain, not with the grain, to rough it up before the stain, and it turned out so beautiful. And then I stained it dark. The texture suddenly looked like old reclaimed timber instead of brand new pine. I love it. Since my beams are 22 feet long, I also had joints along some of the flat faces, but instead of trying to hide them perfectly, I leaned into it and carved deep splits and imperfections into the wood so the seams disappeared and sort of turned into like cracked old damage, the way you would have seen it 100 years ago. The beams are hollow, which definitely helped, but at 22 feet long, they were still insanely heavy. We used 2x6 to brace them into the ceiling and made sure we screwed directly into the joist. Somehow we managed to wrestle all 4 into place. And the second they went up, the whole room changed. It instantly felt warmer, moodier, and way more cozy. Because the beams were so massive and the room itself is huge, I knew I couldn't just throw up a tiny fan or a basic little ceiling light and call it done. The scale of the room needed something dramatic. So we found a fan that was so oversized, it literally had to be assembled in place once it was hanging because it was so heavy. And the second it went up, it was everything I wanted. It filled the space perfectly and tied the entire ceiling together. Eventually, I planned to put planks between the beams so the entire ceiling is wood. But right now, this is absolutely beautiful and I'm okay leaving it like that. And finally, the floor arrived. With the help of our very determined 2-year-old, I managed to get the entire floor installed over 1 weekend and it completely transformed the room. It was the final piece that made this space feel perfect, kind of. Even though this room has come so far, there is still a long list of projects to tackle in here. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention the weird footing that we had. I made sure to spray foam it and then I cut a custom trim out of pine. I put the sill gasket on the back of it so that it, again, was not in contact with any of the concrete. I 45'd it and it looks like a custom piece of trim that was always supposed to be there. Just a little reminder of what this looked like in the beginning, and also a reminder to you that projects like this aren't overnight. We really slept in the garage with concrete floors. It was the summertime, so it made it a little bit easier. So if you're looking at your garage and thinking, this can really turn into something, you're probably right. There's still a few things that we need to change, like the fact that there is a hose in the bedroom. Even if it's not finished, would I do it again? Absolutely. Next up, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.